Maurice Nicol's Psychological Commentaries, Volume 5. This is the Appendix, Birdlip, April 1945, The Work and External Circumstances. This was read at the meetings at Great Amwell House on Saturday, the 25th of September, 1953. We often think that by changing our situation or problems, we'll become different. This is because we think that if outer things were different, then we should be different. This is always a form of expectancy, which is only natural. More experience makes us not expect in this way. It is quite true that a change of circumstances gives more force because for the time being, it gives more impressions. But wherever we go, we carry ourselves with us. That is our level of being. And that, as you know, the work says our level of being attracts our life. It attracts our psychological life. That is, after a time, we begin to make the same enmities, the same difficulties, the same kind of repetition of everything. Yet a change of circumstances may be very necessary, provided we do not expect this change to make us different. Here comes the idea of octaves ending. An octave may end both in regard to external circumstances, to conditions of life, and also in connection with other people. As regards the latter, we notice we no longer know our school friends. We sometimes wonder whether we should have not kept up with those early friendships and kept them going. But this is quite wrong because the octave is over. However, in the work, there are octaves that never finish in regard to relationship. Temporary friends are one thing, but work friends are a different thing. In this connection, I must remind you of a saying in the work that life divides, but the work unites. We are, here in London, a body of people trying to unite rather than divide, to pass increasing order rather than into increasing confusion, and no external change of circumstances must alter this feeling that the work can give us. You must understand that we cannot get rid of one another, never not see someone again. If we are speaking of people in the work, our problems with one another remain at the same in spite of external circumstances. We all feel quite rightly that some octave is finished in regard to the external circumstances of the work itself, and that a change of circumstances is necessary. But this does not mean that our work with one another or with ourselves or in connection to the work itself will change. When we get a good work relationship to ourselves, we know this without being told. We know it for a fact that nothing external can alter us in this respect, although it is said the change of external circumstances may give some force and enable us to view things from a different angle. When you pack your bag and go off to take yourself with you. You do not have to pack yourself. And although you may forget many things that you ought to have packed, nothing of yourself will be left behind. So after a time, we will find, in spite of new circumstances and new impressions, we will once more come to face with the same work and the same three lines. I remember once that Gurdjieff or Ouspensky said it would be good to have a traveling circus under the facade of which the work was concealed. I thought how marvelous it would be to be going to new places and leaving behind all the troubles that arose in the last place, just as though one could escape from oneself by the constant change of environment. But I realized this is not possible, and that even constant change of circumstances becomes a mechanical, just like everything else. Gurdjieff always taught with great emphasis that everything in time becomes mechanical. You learn to work on yourself in a certain way, for example, and after a time it becomes mechanical and no longer gives you force. A change is necessary. He taught once in London that our task was to open up new parts of our centers and that we have to take things in a new way wherever we are. For example, he said that prayer is good if it is conscious, but if it becomes mechanical, it is useless. And on one occasion, Ouspensky said that a man living in a prison cell, that is, continuing in the same environment, could do this work by a continual change on his attitude toward his physical confinement. But as we are, constantly being in the same environment contributes mechanicalness, and so sometimes a change of environment is a good thing. But I do not flatter myself in thinking that a change of environment is going to make everything different and more easy for me. Imagination always paints the picture that if only certain outer things were different, one could, for example, concentrate more. This is imagination. This is a new environment. One will find just the same difficulty. External things may be different, but our relationships will tend to be the same after a time, and we will gradually reproduce our typical life. That is, our being attracts the same factors and difficulties unless we work. Now we are moving from here to a new place, and there will be one factor of great importance that can be definitely thought of as a new factor, namely that we shall come into contact with many more people in this work. And through this, we shall feel stronger and less divided. This will be a very good thing for us all. And I think this will be one of the most important things in the coming change in our external circumstances. We shall get more impressions from another. Work impressions. We will once more feel connected so that the force of our work can be increased. We will see one another more and more people oftener. This is a very good thing and something we all down here can look forward to. All those temporarily left behind will find they're eventually guided to this new arrangement and will be able to take their right part in it. Remember, the work will always find a way if you trust it, and it can bear a temporary privatization without dismay. But one thing always remains the same. That is, we must bear one another's unpleasant manifestations wherever we are and learn we are rarely right in our judgment of people.